I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Cavazos.
Here.
Mrs. Moore. Here. Mr. Root.
Here.
Mrs. Kelly. Here. Mr. Farrell.
Here.
Ms. Pondish. Present. Mr.
Here.
And Mr. Wright.
Here. Public notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been given by the clerk in the following manner. 1, posted on the bulletin board in the Borough Clerk's office on January 6, 2014, and 2, emailed to the retrospect and Courier Post on January 6, 2014. We have approval of minutes. Motion is in order for the approval of minutes of the April 22nd and May 6th meeting as submitted by the clerk. As each member has been received a copy. Is there a motion?
Make a motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's all. Any opposed? Reports. I just want everyone to know we're going to go through our housekeeping stuff, and then we're going to go right to the resolution of our appointment.
First report is from a construction official. There are a total of $7,146 was collected for various permits, including COs. All monies were turned over to the treasurer. We have the treasurer's report for the month of May. Total, listing the total in all the accounts, which everyone has in front of them, which I'm not going to be placing on. We have the report of the Borough Clerk for the month of May. A total of $1,642 was collected in permits, licenses, including pet licenses. All monies were turned over to the treasurer. We have the report of the police chief for the month of May. A total of $123.08 was collected for various accident discoveries, solicitor reports, overly processed firearms permits. All monies were turned over to the treasurer. We have the report of the registrar for the month of May. A total of $3,494 was collected for various death copies, marriage copies, and marriage licenses. All monies were turned over to the treasurer. We have the report of the municipal court for the month of May, for the month of April. A total of $11,567.60. Make sure that's correct. $11,567.60 was collected, and all these funds were turned over to the treasurer. The report of the fire marshal for the month of May, a total of $2,800 was collected in fire fees. Total inspections completed was 71. Total incidents 144. One type 1 permit issued. And emergency medical services billing for the month of May, $22,591.88. All monies were turned over to the treasurer. We have a report of the tax collector for the month of May. A total of $2,628,012.37 was collected in taxes, and $18,736.62 was collected in sewer rental. And that's all right.
Okay. I have a motion to accept the report as given.
I make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Communications.
First is a note from Ed and Cynthia White, thanking Mayor and Council for flowers sent upon the death of Ed's mom.
Second.
And the second one is from Michael Russo, the director of the DOT, denying our grant application for the reconstruction of Reed Avenue Phase 3.
So everyone's aware of that? You aware of that?
Yes, but on your agenda this evening is a resolution to seek discretionary aid for the same project. It's the second round funding source. So we were denied for the normal round of DOT funding. We're asking for a resolution this evening to submit a discretionary aid application.
Were we asking for the same road? Or you thought we were going to change the
I think
road?
they changed the road.
Oh, they did change it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is Oakland?
Well, we'll get to that, I guess,
Okay.
for the discretionary. Do we have a motion to these two communications?
I so move.
I second.
All in favor? Proceed. Okay. Let's skip the public hearing, and we're going to go right to resolution 14101. The clerk will will read the resolution.
There's no more than just the officer on there.
Yes.
Resolution 14101 is a resolution confirming 2014 appointments to the police department. Austin Regaludo as a special police officer at $13.25 per hour. And in the recreation department, we have all the counselors. Would you like me to read them?
Sure.
The director is Stephen Brooks at $1,800. Then we have Daniel Vanella, Sean Stone, Jeff Plehammer, Zachary, it looks like we're allowed to make
Burgess.
Burgess, is that how you say that?
Right, is it Burgess?
Burgess?
I think it's bourgeois.
Okay.
Justin Mullen, Alexis Matois, Kayla Spraggins, Kelsey Kurtz, Samantha Stone, Abigail Rourke, and Robert Allen. They're all at $7.25 per hour.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve?
I so move.
I'll second.
Is this a roll call? This is a roll call. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
Mr. Ruth.
Yes.
And Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
5 ayes, 1 no.
Okay, the motion is passed. We would like to now swear in our new Class 2 officer, the Chief, and Mr. Regaludo, please come up.
Yes, I would love to.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. Please raise your right hand. I, state your name,
I, Austin Regaludo,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of New Jersey,
and the state of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established
to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
the duties of the office of
the duties of
the office of
the office of
Special Class 2 Police Officer.
Special Class 2 Police Officer,
Correct. According to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
That I will not use my office
And I will not use my office
to grant preferential treatment,
to grant preferential treatment,
nor to seek personal gain,
nor
nor to seek personal gain,
to seek personal gain,
favor,
favor,
or advantage
or advantage
not available to the general public.
not available to the general public.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Yeah, you gotta shake everybody's hands.
Come down and congratulate you. Congratulations.
Are you good, Chief?
Congratulations.
I'm fine. Congratulations. All these young guys in good shape. I don't know. Thank you.
Hey, Chief, what are you trying
Which
to
one?
Preferential.
Gotta look that one up.
We're doing now tonight.
Don't look at the building.
Young guys in good shape. We're gonna stand for Okay, we'll go back to the regular agenda at this point. Tonight, this evening, we have a public hearing. The clerk read the ordinance 1412.
1412 is an ordinance creating an accident investigation committee.
Anyone wishing to speak on this ordinance and this ordinance alone, please come to the microphone, state your name and address. Okay, seeing no one, I make a motion to close the public hearing. Oh, someone has to make a motion.
I so move.
Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have. I'm not allowed to make a motion. I'm allowed to make a motion? Oh, I made the motion.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, need someone to make a motion to adopt on second reading
I make a motion to adopt on second reading
and advertise according to the law.
and advertise according to law pursuant to,
That's it?
I missed. No.
Did you write it?
No, that's it.
That's it. Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call.
Is that Mike?
That was mine.
Can't hear the difference down there between the two of these. Mr. Ruth?
Yes.
And Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
5 ayes, 1 absent.
Okay, the ordinance is adopted. Committee reports, Finance and Administration, that is my report. This evening, we will be having our public hearing on our budget, so Mr. Wright will handle that. Obviously, under the Personnel Committee, we have been doing a good job hiring people, so I think we're in full staff on the Class 2s. Other than that, I'm just going to report progress because my caucus holds is much longer. So, Public Safety, Mrs. Scott.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had arrests for the month of 105. Arrests to date are 521. We had 207 traffic summonses and only 9 hours of overtime. I was happy about that. The signs for distracted driving, stay alive, don't text and drive, are ordered. And I believe that
They are ordered.
Public Works is going to be putting them up.
They'll follow up tomorrow. I spoke to them. They are definitely at the shop. They've been ordered, so I'm hoping to get them this week.
And at our public safety meeting, when I brought this up to the chief, he suggested that they go on Schubert exiting out to Evesham, on Schubert exiting out to Clemens Bridge, and also coming out the parking lot from Triton at Oak Avenue, Oak and Forest. So our young people will have these reminders that texting can kill. So it's important that we get those signs up, and I appreciate your help with Public Works. Really, thank you, appreciate that. Our fire department has been very busy with a lot of training. Not only have they been training our police officers on the Narcan, but also on other areas for public safety. Narcan is it's an atomizer that's used to revive drug overdose victims. And it works for 20 minutes. So that gives enough time for the responders to make sure that the victim can get to a hospital and hopefully be recovered permanently. It requires a bit of training, and I believe that our officers are hands-on with this, which is excellent. And the fire department has done a lot of work in that regard also. I believe that every time they go out, it is in their car, and it is able to be used if, in case they need it. So we are up to snuff on Narcan. We had a lot of calls for our police and fire department, as you saw, but we did respond to several large fires in the county, in Barrington for a dwelling fire, and down in West Berlin for another building fire. Our men have been trained in OSHA respiratory protection. They have been trained in blood-borne pathogens and the Narcan training, as I said. Also live burn fire training at the Camden County Fire Academy. So our men are truly able to respond to any emergency. They are all trained, they are up to date on their certifications, and they are ready to serve and protect our whole community. And I congratulate them on that, because this is a lot of work for all the administrators in these departments and also the men to spend the time. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Passio is not here tonight, but Public Events is next, and I think Ms. Kelly does have a note from Ms. Passio.
Just get that. Okay. Memorial Day services were honored on Monday, May 26th this year. Our World War II veterans were given well-deserved accolades. Special thanks to all who helped make this event a success. The town-wide yard sale will be this Saturday, June 7th from 8 to 2. If you haven't yet registered, you can by going on our website, www.runnemede.org. Follow the directions for the yard sale. You can also download the list of participants and Please remember to clean up and put away any unsold items after 2 o'clock. We again will be sharing our services with Barrington and Belmar for the 4th of July fireworks show. They will be displayed in Barrington on July the 3rd. Their parade begins at 6:30 and 9:30. We'll begin the fireworks. The seniors will be having their annual picnic at Washington Lake Park, Greentree, Herfield Road in Sewell, New Jersey on Wednesday, June 23rd. Tickets are $8 for members and $11 for non-members. Good food, good friends, good time. We are now planning our borough events for our 4th of July. Mark your calendars. It will be on Friday, the July 4th. The bicycle parade begins at 9, and the baby parade will begin at 9:30. Please arrive a few minutes early to register your bikes and babies. All this will take place at the Harry Williams Center. There will be a free water, ice, and prizes. The main parade will start at 1 o'clock, beginning at Clements Bridge Road and ending at 9th Avenue. Lineup will start at 12:30 at Plaza Place. Anyone wishing to participate for the main parade will need to contact Councilwoman Patty Passio at 856-466-5133. And that is her report for this month.
We now have engineering.
Yes, I was going to defer to Mark on this because
And I can say that we're resting on the report. You have the 2 items on for resolution. The first one being discretionary aid application. It is confirmed that South Oakland Avenue from Evesham to Clements Bridge Road. That's on the agenda for this evening. And then also we have the final change order for the RYAA improvements, final change order. And then also that will be the final application for payment for that project is coming to a close.
Right.
Will be completed.
Anything else?
the doors for bringing.
I know the equipment has been ordered. We're talking about closures and places change. Equipment has been ordered. I believe it will be installed within the next week or so. I will verify that and get back to you.
Thank you.
And I know there's also progress on the new entrance doors for the front of the municipal building as well as the containers for that side egress door.
Are they gonna be painted, these doors that are gonna be installed, are they gonna come pre-painted like?
I think they probably come pre-finished, but they're not gonna be the green if that's what
No,
you
I'm just wondering if they're gonna be any particular color, like, are we picking the color?
But he's going to paint them. I asked him why they couldn't already paint. He said more money.
They come with the standard anodized aluminum finish, and then you paint with the appropriate paint on top of that. The color will match the existing color that we have out there.
Yeah. Okay.
There's no downside because the type of paint that's going to be utilized on the finish is made for it. So it's going to wear just as if it was coming from, pre-painted from the factory.
I just, yeah, if there was something that we could, that would be my name.
It's been our
Max,
experience.
the other doors and all? Yes.
It's been our experience that we can get a nice color chip from the manufacturer, and it will not match what is already out there around their existing building because of painting. It's much easier for them to do, because that way it's painted, and we look at the green, it doesn't match anything else. So I find
I don't
something.
have a problem like.
We'll paint it.
Okay.
Good. Okay, then, Parks and Recreation.
Mr. Rick.
Oh, I did skip you again. Can you believe that? I crossed you off. Public Works, Ms. Moore. We noticed I crossed you off saying, I checked you off. We start talking.
No, we are continuing to paint curbs around town. We did paint the parking lot at the Borough prior to the election day, but we did put down some nice arrows that had not been there, so that way we can hopefully start a flow of traffic around the parking lot. The next stop is going to be Green Acres. We are going to be painting lines down there as well to a straight parking lot. We have been maintaining properties, and I'm happy to report that they're down to about approximately 10 properties right now is what we're maintaining, which is a great reduction to what we were maintaining. So the feeling seems to be that a lot of the bank-owned properties and vacant homes, they are getting landscapers to come in and maintain the properties at this point. So it's taking a big burden off of the Public Works Department. But we have a new lawnmower, so I'm happy to report that. We have a new push lawnmower, and they're very proud of it. the ballards were installed at Smith Lane and Green Acres. They allow for access for us to maintain the area. If we need to get there, they can fold down, they fold back up, and lock in place so that no unauthorized vehicles will be able to get onto the property. Public Works did a nice job down at the Veterans Green for the Memorial Day. They changed out all the mulch, they replaced the flags. They did a very nice job to spruce that area up. And I want to give shout out to Pat Moriarty, Bill Myers, and Tom Fowler for helping out down the RY. They've been a huge help with Parks and Rec, taking down the fences. They also replaced 3 bus stop benches along with Mike. So we are waiting to order new cans for those stops. And we'll finish those projects up. So that's it for Public Works. I just want to say for the library, because I am the liaison for the library, the summer reading activities will begin the first Monday after school has completed this year. They will be having a story hour every Tuesday evening from 6:30 to 7:30 for preschoolers through 3rd grade. There's more information available. If you go to the Borough website, you can click on the library link and they will have all the information there, or feel free to contact the library. The library book club meets on the first Wednesday of every month. For more information, again, feel free to contact the library. And other than that, I will report progress.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. President. Okay, Parks and Recreation, what we got is the all vinyl fencing company is finishing up the installation of all the fences down at QRYAA. They actually today started the last change order, so that should be complete in the next couple of days. And as Steve said, that it should be all finalized pretty soon. The streets, as Bev said, the streets department taking down all the old fencing to make way for the new pad in the pole barn. So as soon as that gets out of the way, we'll start that process. Parks and Recreation inspected all the parks in Runnemede, and we'll be asking, of course, help from the streets department to repair and maintain the parks. They found a couple of swings down, minor things with mulch and all stuff like that, so it's not too bad. Summer rec is starting to shape up. We hired, as we heard earlier, we hired all the counselors. We're trying to find activities now to keep the kids cool during the summer because of the Runnemede closing down. So we've all started pool for the summer, but I think I got a couple ideas that will keep the kids cool. And we are going to set up seminars this year for the first time for the counselors with the fire chief, Detective Robinson, and myself to prepare the kids for unforeseen problems that may happen during the summer. And we are implementing a new pickup and walking passes so we can have more control on the kids, whether they're walking home or who's picking them up. And the rest is progress.
Thank you very much. Mr. Wright, Administrator's Report.
I'm going to office.
Okay.
And we'll go over budget briefly, just for, there's some new cases in the budget, so just for you.
Solicitor's Report.
Good evening, Mr. President, Council. We do not have any major reports.
Thank you. And the Engineer's Report.
You rely on our submitted report as well.
You guys are easy. Okay, old business, we have none. Now, at this point, what we have is an opportunity for the public to comment on any of the upcoming agenda items. Before we vote on these, there's no opportunity for the public to speak on these. So this is an opportunity for anyone in the public to speak on the upcoming portion. Is there anyone in the public wishing to speak on any agenda? Seeing none, motion to close this portion of the public. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we have our public hearing.
Before we have the public hearing, we
Oh,
have to
now you're
do the
reading.
resolution.
No, I missed it. Resolution.
1491 is the resolution authorizing the 2014 municipal budget to be read by title only at the time of the public hearing.
I make first.
We want a motion at this point, yeah, we'll do a motion first, and then we'll do the presentation.
No, I need a motion and a second.
Okay,
I'll
motion.
second. And then you adopt that resolution. That's just to read it by
Just
title.
to read it.
Strange as may seem, that is the law.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is passed. Now, we have a motion to read. Public hearing. Mr. Wright, would you like to take over from this point? Or is this the close,
No,
have a little presentation or a little?
Actually, I'm just going to go over the highlights again, the previous.
You want to put the microphone a little bit closer to this mic?
I'm just going to go over the totals and then go over to the top revenues and expenditures. In the current fund, the total budget, revenues and expenditures, which are in balance, is $7,603,856. And in the sewer utility fund, the revenues and expenditures, which are in balance, is $935,559. In regard to the general fund or current fund, your top revenues, top 5 revenues, your local levy, which is the taxpayers, makes up 67%, and that's $5,165,583. Energy receipts tax is your number 2 at 10.95%, and that's $832,983. Fund balance or surplus makes up 4.14% at $315,000. Receipts on delinquent taxes makes up 3.95% at $300,000, and EMS billing makes up 3.29% at $250,000. And that's just your top 5 revenues there. On the expenditure side, your top 5 expenses, and this is not the total cost. It's not the cost allocation plan. It's just the general line item budget. So for police salaries and wages is number 1 at 16% with $1,228,954, and that also will not include interlocal agreements or grants. That's just the amount budgeted in that line item. Employee health benefits, net of contributions of the employees, is number 2 at 10.35% at $781,191. Preserve for uncollected taxes, which basically is making sure we have enough to pay all the entities, local schools, county, and ourselves. Due to the collection rate is not at 100%. That comes in at number 4 at 6.12% at $465,284. Bond principal is, sorry to order, is number 3 on the list at 7.44%, and that's $566,000. And police and fire retirement pension fund comes in at number 5 at 4.73%, $359,636. Just as brief as I can get recap from the budget.
And just let everyone know in the audience that we did stay below the 2%, obviously, that is by law, but if you would like to explain, we were actually under the 2% hard cap.
The 2% levy cap allows for exceptions for debt service, for increases in health benefits over the state health benefits plan, and other exceptions that would allow you to be compliant with the levy cap law, but you could actually have a percentage increase of the levy where of your budget that's over 2%. We're actually, I believe, at about 1.97%, so we're actually under the hard cap. So that's without exceptions.
Borough has not taken any exceptions. That was the because we are allowed if we had to, which makes no sense. You say 2% and then allow people to go over 2%. I think that confuses a lot of them.
I think we've been compliant for this year, or below the 2%.
Okay, so this portion of the meeting is open to the public. Anyone would like to speak about the budget, please come to the microphone, state your name and address. Seeing no one, I'd make a motion to close the public portion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the public portion is closed.
We can,
And we cannot adopt.
we don't know where the state of New Jersey is.
Yeah, and just understand that, yeah, we are still subjects of the state of New Jersey, so we have to wait for them to approve everything. And their budget is due at the end of this month. Is that right? June 30th is their deadline? Yeah, so once they're done, then we get over that. So. Okay, we'll get on to our resolution. 1419, 1492.
Resolution 1492 is a resolution canceling a tax credit due to the subdivision.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Ruth.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
And Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
5 ayes, none.
Resolution is adopted. Resolution 1493.
This is a resolution removing a
Just to explain that, that means the veteran has moved out, the senior has moved out. and
One's
we're back.
dead, one is died, and one is moved out.
Do we have a motion?
I so move.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore? Mr. Root?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Five ayes.
And the motion has passed. Resolution 1494.
This is a resolution adjusting sewer accounts.
We have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Mr. Root?
Yes.
And Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Five ayes, one absent.
Resolution 1495.
This is a resolution to adopt the three-year cooperation agreement with the community development. Put a grant and adopt the three.
If anybody has any questions after the motion in the second, if anybody has any questions, I think we went over all these at the caucus, but like I said, this is just our agreement with the county to do the CDBG grants. So do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call?
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Mr. Root?
Yes.
And Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Five ayes, one absent.
Resolution 1496.
This is the resolution approving the change order for all vinyl fencing.
Yes, motion? Yes.
Steve's with us.
I'll make a motion.
I second.
Okay. Roll call?
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Mr. Root?
Yes.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Five ayes, one absent.
Adopted. Resolution 1497.
This is a resolution authorizing the RYAA to conduct a coin toss in county and borough roads.
I so move.
Okay,
I'll second.
Is this just an all in favor?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Any opposed? Resolution 1498.
Resolution authorizing waiving fees and certain regulations for yard sales for one day. Audra, I wasn't sure whether or not this required a proposed an ordinance that regulates yard sales, but they're waiving it all for one day, so I did a roll call. I didn't know whether or not.
That's fine, you can.
do roll call.
Okay, we have a motion?
I make a motion.
Second. Roll call?
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Root?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
And Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Five ayes, one absent.
Okay, resolution is adopted. Resolution 1499.
This is a resolution authorizing the Borough of Runnemede to enter into a shared services agreement with Borough Township for access to a server to utilize data with their own automated license plate recognition system.
Well, let's do a motion in a second, and we'll discuss it. Motion to do this?
I so move.
We have a second? Okay, the discussion, did you had the question?
Do you have something similar to this?
Well, what we've done is, Chief, if you'd like to step up for a second, we're purchasing a piece of equipment that is a license plate
License
reader.
plate recognition system, and Walter Township is the host agency.
What's the difference between that, because I apologize, I was not in class if it got discussed. What's the difference between that and the license plate reader that we already have?
We don't have a license plate reader.
We authorized to purchase it, but the reader without data doesn't do anything. So Gloucester Township has invested in the server,
The
correct?
server, they are your host agency for the server.
Okay.
So
We're using their server.
our vehicle will use their server
Right, so
to,
we do have these.
we're in the process of
We're
purchasing.
supplying one.
Okay.
We authorized to purchase two.
I was gonna say, I remember having this
Yes,
conversation.
but the new
before.
chief feels that we should test it out.
Okay.
So we're gonna test it out on one of the vehicles, but we have to have this agreement with Gloucester Township.
We're not looking to get a server at some point.
No.
We're just gonna share the service.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think it's $500 a year,
Yes.
much less.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we have a motion in a second. Is there any other questions on this? Okay, roll call?
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Root?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
And Mr. Pappas?
Yes. This resolution is adopted. It wasn't.
Well, I was just a little confused.
The second half, you're so
Yeah.
far. Okay, resolution 14100.
This is a resolution authorizing the borough engineer to make application to the New Jersey DOT for local aid infrastructure funding. All that means is the discretionary aid
Discretionary aid.
Or nominate. But that's what it's called.
Okay. We have a motion?
I make a motion.
A second?
Second.
Okay. In discussion, this is now South Oakland.
South Oakland.
We've changed our application.
Yes.
Right, so we'll have them read then.
Well, Reed.
Reed most likely would not be a candidate for a DOT grant, based on our discussions with DOT, so.
They've given us money twice now, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So we're going for it's a much more competitive cycle. They're decreasing the amount of grants statewide. Camden County has consistently over the last 3 years have been realizing less grant, a decrease in grant amounts. So we really have to have the best application we can, linkage to county roadways, state roadways, high traffic areas. That's why we're
Yeah, Oakland goes between those grants.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So for Reed, if you want to complete that, we would look at in future funding cycles as regular road
Okay,
programs.
it's not that much.
At the end,
Right.
yeah, just-
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion, a second. Roll call?
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
Mr. Root.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell.
Yes. Resolution is adopted. We did 14-101, we're at resolution 14-102.
This is a resolution authorizing the Runnemede softball league to conduct the coin toss on county and borough streets.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 14-103.
This is a resolution authorizing the transfer of funds from the Runnemede general account to the sewer operating account. This is just something that was posted to taxes and should be seen.
We have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Root.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
And Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Five ayes, no nays.
Resolution is adopted. Resolution 14-104.
This is a resolution granting 2014, 2015 liquor licenses minus the Holiday Inn.
So everyone but the...
Everybody but the Holiday Inn.
We'll have a motion. Make a motion.
I second.
Roll call?
This is more.
No. This is in the book?
Just, yeah, it's on the back, you just don't have it.
Yeah.
I didn't flip it over yet.
And just for a slight discussion, we do collect $2,500 from each of the businesses in town for their yearly renewal. We send $200 of it to the state, is that correct?
No, in addition, we get the 25.
We get the $2,500, they send also an extra
200,
$200.
but except for the club.
And club licenses, it's only $100 or something like that.
75.
And if they fail to pay it, they would have to reapply with the state to get their license back. So we tried very hard to get everybody to pay on time. Because the money in the suites is changing hands, they weren't able to get it done on time. So that's going to be up to them to get it. But they shouldn't have a problem because any hotel over 100 rooms is allowed automatically a liquor license. But they're still going to go through background and all that stuff. So just let everybody clear on that. So roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mr. Root.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
And Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Five ayes, no.
Resolution is adopted.
We have 105 is the one that Rich just gave everyone in front of you, the emergency temporary appropriations.
Resolution 14-105. Okay. Well, let's do a motion in a second. Is there a motion to adopt this?
I so move.
Second. Discussion, Mr. Wright, you just want to explain, this is just moving money temporarily until we have.
Basically, the temporary budget carried us basically through the first, I guess, through March. We did one on 325, which took us till now, and this one will take us until we have the budget. So it's basically increasing all the line items that we need more money for next couple months operating. So it doesn't exceed the budget, it's within the budget, paid engineer, paid employees.
Okay. So a motion and second, roll call?
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mr. Root.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
And Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Five ayes, no nays.
And we have first reading for ordinance 14-13.
This is an ordinance amending certain provisions of the Code of the Borough of Runnemede of personnel.
This this updates the borough code for those members, those employees not in any kind of contract, it follows civil service, it updates the vacation time, and it also updates, it clarifies the medical benefit that falls in line with the rest of the benefits. So do we, what do we have to do?
I'll make a motion to adopt on the first reading and advertise according to law with the public hearing to be held on the first day of July 2014 at a meeting beginning at 7 p.m.
As a second?
I second.
Okay, roll call?
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Rude.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
And Mr. Capani.
Yes.
6 ayes, 5 ayes on
Okay, so we have ordinance 1414.
this. This is an ordinance amending chapter 153, article 2, EMS fees of the Runnemede code. This is upping the emergency transport to $750. I believe was discussed at.
It was discussed in the committee meeting, it was just saying line with
What was it before?
the 700. And that's the maximum.
What did they do? Industry standards? Is that what-
Medicare has a certain flat rate that they pay, insurance companies have other flat rates that they pay, and then there's people who just pay for the service. So can we have a motion?
I so move.
Well, no, you gotta read the whole part.
Motion to adopt on first reading and advertise according to law with the public hearing to be held on the first day of July 2014 at a meeting beginning at 7 p.m.
Okay. You got a second? Roll call?
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
Mr. Root.
No.
No. And Mr. Capani.
Yes. Is it 4-1?
4 ayes, 1 no, and 1 abstain.
Ordinance 1450.
This is an ordinance regulating donation clothing during the Borough of Runnemede.
We have a motion?
I make a motion to adopt on first reading and advertise according to law with a public hearing to be held on the first day of July 2014 at a meeting beginning at 7 p.m.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Root.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
And Mr. Capani.
Yes.
5 ayes, 1 abstain.
Okay, now we have the payment of bills. We have a motion to pay the monthly bills.
I so move.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mrs. Moore. Yes. Mr. Root.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
And Mr. Capani.
Yes. Bills will be paid. This portion is good or welcome. This portion is open to the public. Anyone wishing to speak, please come to the microphone, state your name and address.
Road 5, Jason Gossage, Runnemede, 812 North Oakland. Been a resident for 9 years, just got this house 2 years ago.
Jason, I'm sorry, what's the last name?
Gossage. My question is, I used to live out in Simmons, no problem. My question is I live on 800 block of North Oakland. When it rains, apparently there's about 7 or 8 houses on, I guess, the same 800 block with bowers, and there's no drainage. So, like with all this nice construction everybody's doing at the parks, when it rains, that's the color that is in front of my house, orange. It fills up the Caracas residence, gets ruined every storm. And I have pictures of everyone to show it if I would start handing myself on. Some doesn't seem right for that many houses to be built on my block and has no drainage. All that water just comes right down. It's destroying the foundation on a lot of houses on that block. My garage, my foundation. I have built a lot, so we have plans for that now, but we can't do anything because we couldn't even see anything about the car on the grass because it's a sink. It's wet all the time.
We've been made aware of this. The engineer wants
Actually,
maybe.
may I have my
Yes,
card
you
and
have
my
your
email
card.
address? So that's my email address on there.
Yeah.
If you would send me over any photographs, obviously.
So is there a plan, the only reason I want to change out too is because I see that, everything's happening great off the street, like,
Yeah,
if they're gonna tear it up, now would be the perfect time to tear it up and.
Well, the plan is basically several phases. The first phase is through the recreation to update the fencing and all the safety concerns and all, and update just the fields and all that. We are in the process of foreclosing on that land that's in between the RY fields, which are owned by the borough. That easement in between is actually municipal. We've had it, where the tracks were, is actually not owned by the borough. We are in the process of foreclosing. We've started to research our stormwater management systems, and you're correct, there are no storm drains on that road.
Work over there, like 3 hours down, it
Yeah.
actually looks like a river.
Yeah.
What's your address?
812.
So
I'm
we're,
like, you can't, if you go higher up, you get.
I've been down there, I've been down there when it floods, I know.
we have decided, we've started conversations with the engineering department, Parks and Recreation, Public Works, Finance. Obviously, we're looking with most of the engineer to decide how we can alleviate the problem. We believe that you're correct, we need to stop the water before it goes further
Right,
down.
because the main thing is it's like 6 foot difference, the Bowers and Oakland, that's actually 6 feet higher, so it's just going down. I have two, I mean, you're acknowledging what which I appreciate, but I have a French drain and 2 cell pumps in my basement, and I still do work. I mean, that's,
So we're definitely looking at it. Like I said, right now, our thoughts are to find out some kind of system up by the fields. As we continue to fix the fields, we're looking at fixing that drainage problem. So hopefully that'll work. I'm not gonna say it's happening quickly. As you can see, even the fields took a year.
I get it, but it is what it is, he says, hopefully it started, so.
Yeah.
And I know Mark Baker on my office has started his investigation. I just want to caution everybody, there are no storm sewers in that area. There have never been any storm sewers in that area. Any efforts that the borough will be undertaking is going to be a mitigation effort to make it better than it is today, but without wholesale installation of a storm sewer network to move the water.
There are storm drains down there though, along.
But not-
Not that's collecting this water.
I mean, there's enough, like, not swampland, there's, you just need a base to put it all, you see them all over.
Well, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna be looking at that land that we
We're
have.
going to look at that also, but with, and I'm not saying that the borough isn't going to do something, and there's options, but I just want to caution everybody that the options that most likely are going to come to the table are something to make it better. It will never alleviate all the groundwater that we're experiencing in that part of town, or the surface water during the very extreme storms. So what we're going to be bringing back to you is our best attempt to mitigate without doing an infrastructure project and millions of dollars to take the water away.
Now, I have a question for you, you seem to be the man with the answer to it. Is there some sort of law or ratio or something that's supposed to be, if we build X amount of houses, we have to, you know, look for drainage? You know what I mean? Like, we have to account for drainage if we're building 2 houses, or 6 houses, or 20 houses, or 1 house.
Yes, nowadays.
What's that number?
It's residential site improvement standards. There's actually very specific regulations on everything that's built as a residence in the state of New Jersey. Unfortunately, that's really only for the last decade or so that those rules were in place.
Well, but that means even a decade, but those houses that are right behind me, I think there's 3 of them that aren't 10 years old. I mean, so that still falls right in there. The house that's directly behind me is foreclosed on.
You know, the only thing we can say about that is that the previous administrations, the previous planning boards that allowed this to happen, the only thing we can say is we tried to fix it.
I'm not saying you did, but it's on your.
Yeah, but we'll look at that.
We'll look at it.
There's no reason why we can't look at the.
But it would never happen again, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
We'd never, a new home would never be, a new
Right,
development.
but I didn't even think about it. My foundation is starting to sink a little bit, and I know that I'm not the worst.
No, we do, many residents have brought it to our attention, we've been really looking at it. We found out that we're really even lacking on data on our stormwater systems. We really don't even have a very accurate map that shows where all the lines are. We basically have very limited information, just basically where the inlets are.
And Borough Runnemede is not alone. Most of the infrastructure was done in 30s and 40s, and some actually went into the 50s and early 60s, but most of the 30s and 40s. And the maps, the as-built maps were hand-drawn on paper and not preserved. So we have some schematics, some sketches, but we don't have full as-built like we have today. I will do this, I will work to review any of the prior approvals. What is the street with the new homes that you're speaking of?
8
Yeah, it's going to be 800 block of Bowers. There's at least, I think there's 3 houses.
If you would email me when you go home, just email me as part of this, the addresses there, so that way I can pull the approvals and see if there's any swales that were supposed to be installed, any roof leaders or anything else that might be missing.
But we're very, you're right, we're very attuned to what's going on.
No, like I said, it's not, I'm not, I apologize, but I know it's, you said it's previous administration, but like I said.
No, you're saying that why wasn't it resolved?
Right.
And I'm saying that the law didn't exist, that's why it didn't happen, things like that. But what we're looking at is, as we're fixing the RY facilities, we realize we need to improve parking up there. And while we're improving parking, we're gonna look at what we can do. And I think what the engineer's trying to state is, nothing we're gonna do is gonna be 100%.
I always want to point that out at
Yes.
the onset, because I know that the governing body is giving you their word that they're going to be taking a look at this and working towards a resolution. I just want to make sure that anything that can be done physically and within the ability of the Borough of Runnemede is not going to be a total fix. It's all-
We're never gonna mitigate 6 feet of,
No, but I will say that the older
Forget
lady
that.
that's 3 or 4 houses up from me, when it rains, we sit out and talk, I don't even know, we sit out and talk there when it rains, and she said that she never had a problem, with those houses. So, and I can't make, if I were her, I'd be here every day. That's how I heard it. But I appreciate it, I'll send you the.
Please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
And my name is Bob Waters, at 600 Williams Terrace.
You can speak into the microphone.
Bob Waters, 600 Williams Terrace.
Okay?
In 2004, I put an addition on the house. Of course, I had all plumbing codes, and because I have the drawings here, as a matter of fact. And the way it was built is the outside perimeter, they put 4-inch PVC perforated stone. Under my basement floor is 4-inch stone, 6-mil plastic, and another 4-inch concrete. There was a sump pump in front of the basement, and it was facing out the front of the house. There was all sidewalk on. The only problem
The
was
sump pump was facing the side,
in front of the house.
you mean the discharge?
Right.
So the discharge is coming out of the basement, going out to the curb, and the water's going out on the curb.
So it was all approved here, on all the permits here yet. Okay? When it first came out, when we dug the basement, there was no water. Okay, so we put that in the court. We got a heavy rainstorm, and so I put it out, I got a blow hose out there to get away from the house, because it has to move from the house. That didn't work too much, so I put a pop-up in the ground, but we're still going.
Back.
Not in the house, one from the house, goes down the wall and it pumps back out again. So it protects the wall of the house. So we looked at sidewalk, so I get rid of that. So I sold down the street to Earthworks, put a couple pipes through the curb. So I asked to come down to mine. So it's pumping out to the street, and I'm moving along, but it's going uphill. That's sewer rate is 2 blocks away. Okay. And also coming down Terrace Avenue, Williams Terrace. Since I've been there, I collect water. Water's supposed to come down there, hit Williams Avenue, and go west. It doesn't. It stays in my driveway. It's been like that since I've lived there. I get 2.5 inches of water every couple of rains there. Okay? But that's the problem. What I have to do is I have to sweep the water down. Comes out through the curb, I have to be sweeping and get down.
And you've been cited, this is the reason you're here, you've been cited because the water is in the curb and it's standing water in the curb. And we have a borough ordinance that doesn't allow for discharge of sump pumps into the.
But I walked around town, and many houses have the same thing.
Yeah.
So I figured, I didn't know anything about that, so I did it. Okay, the school has it, and you're not supposed to have downspouts running on the sidewalk.
Yes.
But the borough hall drains on the sidewalk.
Yes.
So I didn't think nothing of that, you know?
Yeah.
It took $1,000 I think to put in, but it's keeping my lawn, my sidewalk clear. So I moved the water, but it has to move uphill.
Engineer, would you like to at least address this a little bit, because this is a,
Here's the drawing.
this is, well, it's a problem we're having all over the place. You're correct.
And we are having over the last several years, and I'm sure everybody's tired of hearing it, extraordinary rain events. We're having not only our own infrastructures being taxed, our stormwater systems, our own buildings are actually having problems with water and infiltration, our own pump stations. So it has been wetter than most, not only in terms of the summer storms, but also this past winter.
In December, it dries up. It's just we had a hurricane and a lot of rain we had recently. But I keep moving the water to get rid of it. And I don't want to leave it, standing there.
But it is true that Borough does have an ordinance specifically not to have some pump discharges to the public sidewalk and also to the curb line. And it's appropriate not to have that water running down the curb line, especially if you do have sump up running during the winter months where you have the potential for the freeze and the ice patches and things like that. And that's one of the main reasons why the ordinance is in
There's
place.
no place else I can put it, that's the thing. This is, right after the sidewalk, the backyard, we're doing the neighbor's yard.
Yeah.
But like I said, everything was signed off on by the permits and everything else here.
The only thing I can say is, and I hate saying this because, you know, the bad guy here, but what is supposed to happen is the water, it has to discharge to your property. You have to make provisions for somehow for it to infiltrate into the ground.
Yeah, unfortunately, when it does, it comes right back in, it comes right back out again. Right here.
The only thing I've seen before, and I don't know, and I'm gonna.
Well, the only thing we can say is that the ordinance is the law, and regardless of the fact that, am I correct to say this, regardless of in the past, if you were given permission, in the past, it really doesn't matter at this point, because the
I just have
current
to
law.
say, the National Standard Plumbing Code, which you follow,
Yes,
it says here, exception, stormwater from one or two family dwellings may be discharged from lawns or streets, provided that the stormwater flows away from the dwelling, does not otherwise create.
yes. The building code allows for it, but our ordinance specifically doesn't allow for it.
And specifically, the ordinance is referencing that it would be a nuisance if it goes into the curb line.
And that's what the house is now.
Right. But it's the onus, it's not the borough's responsibility to mitigate where the water is coming from the sump pump to a person's property. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to make some provision in your lawn as far as way.
Unfortunately, I can't afford, I'm on the social security, I can't afford that either.
I don't really know what to say. Unfortunately, the borough really doesn't have the responsibility.
I understand.
It's not the borough's responsibility to.
Could he get a variance for
With
this?
this?
He could, it's a borough ordinance, so you couldn't even get, it's not a land use issue. There's no way to get any relief.
It's prohibited. It's not that,
Prohibited.
or just like our stormwater ordinance is prohibiting,
I didn't know
grass
that.
cuttings in the
I
covers.
didn't know. And it says nothing to penetrate the curb, or many things penetrate the curb.
They do, and the only issue that we can say about that,
All doctors, all those stores. same thing.
absolutely. The problem that you have though is that you're more than welcome to make a complaint against each one of them. We would force each one to
The
comply.
school has it too.
Absolutely. We
What
could,
about the borough?
we could force every single one to comply. If you're willing to make a complaint
Well,
about
I'll do
it,
that then.
and, you know, and you're right, we should be addressing all these problems. And we have an obligation to address them. That's all I don't disagree. The borough should be held at the same standard as everybody else. Members of this council, we weren't, obviously, I hate to say that, we weren't here when everything was done improperly, but we've tried very hard to fix things and mitigate these problems. I don't know if the solicitor would like to add anything to this about, it is the ordinance. And the only thing, the borough could change the ordinance, but then our concern would be the nuisance for your neighbors.
It was a nuisance. None of the neighbors have complained about it. My neighbors in that thing.
More than likely, there would have been, typically, the way the borough has been, the way we have instructed our code enforcement officials, we are complaint-driven enforcement. And I know that sounds, tree falls and no one hears it, it does not make a sound. So we are complaint-driven.
I talked to people, none of them said anything about it.
Well, these are all, we do allow anonymity for complaints.
But, I say, everything comes down there and lays in my driveway. Everybody, all the water that comes out of the pools goes in my driveway, too. And I've never said a word about anything.
The issue is though that I think
With this water, it's
permanent.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that is we understand your problem. And I'm not saying that, I'm sure council are doing everything that they can, and they're going to try to come to a resolution, as this seems to be an overwhelming problem within Runnemede. However, the fact of the matter is despite what has happened in the past, or what past practice may have been, or what prior authorization you may have been given, the fact remains it is an ordinance, and our officers are going to enforce those ordinances. That may be unfortunate, and residents may have to come up with some temporary solutions to address that. If at some point council, they certainly have the ability to repeal that ordinance if they deem appropriate. And certainly, I would say, they have to enforce it equally among all residents, and that includes, buildings within the township.
So, or within the borough, excuse me. So everyone, has to comply. And certainly if you feel that you're being treated unfairly and that, others are provided different treatment, you need to bring that to council's attention so they can address that appropriately.
Because I figure, since I've been here, it's puddles my driveway all the time, and I figure it's water, it's gonna go away. That's all it is. It's not chemicals, it's nothing else, it's water.
The only thing I'll say is our code enforcement does give a lot of latitude. I mean, I'm assuming that he's tried to have.
He knows it won't go anywhere, I can't go anywhere else, he knows that.
Because
I've discussed that with him.
we've had a lot of situations where people are violated, they have a violation, and he gives plenty of time to fix these things.
But,
But unfortunately, it might be something you have to look in and have like a stone seepage pitch underneath your lawn area. That would
well, also,
these are things that you would have to look at for on-site
I
control of that
I
stuff.
didn't realize it, but that house is built on an underground stream. All this is back there, building is right across there. When I say when it was dug out, the basement was dug out, there's no water. But had I known it was an underground stream, what not even what the house.
Yeah, the only thing I can say, have you been cited? You have to go in front of the court? Have you been cited?
But it says come here, come get it.
Oh, well, I am aware of the situation, but one of the problems is, I don't know if the council's about to change the ordinance, because, once again, we then have a nuisance on other people if we allow it. With your particular situation, we can, I'll talk to code enforcement again. The only thing I can say is that more than likely, we have to come up with a resolution to either stop the water from coming on the side, onto there, or if it's,
You're gonna
if it's
have to-
only in a minute, that would be, if it was just every often, just off, not that
For instance,
often.
in the summer, it's totally dry.
Yeah.
Just wait, it's a hurricane
But
and,
during the spring, it's probably running.
well, it's
Consistently.
it's dry right now.
Right. So what you would have to do typically is your discharge, you would have to get as far away as your house as you can, right, as you can,
That's why I have the ordinance on the sidewalk.
okay? But you would, while still allowing the water to dissipate on your grass, on your lawn.
It was. I had it.
Before it goes on.
I want to quarter properties, okay? I took it down halfway between the sidewalk and the house. And I got the point, it's still on the sidewalk, and that's dangerous for people on the sidewalk. So like I say, I sold, down the street, doing the last area, and went through the curb, and paid $1,000 from the money.
Now, I also want to point out some of the differences between the curb penetrations that you see around town, including down on the Black Horse Pike. A lot of those curb penetration are roof leaders. So instead of the stormwater from downspouts going splattering across the roof where the snow melts, it actually goes to the curb.
So not necessarily sump pumps
It's
allowed.
not necessarily sump pumps, you're saying, and when it's raining, everything's wet, including the curb, including.
So it doesn't matter.
So you can definitely see the evidence of what is a sump pump penetration, because you'll see the constant water in dry weather.
But what?
So I wouldn't say, I just want to point out, all these penetrations are not all the same.
But your ordinance says, not even roof.
I don't know what that's.
You can go on the side.
Roofs cannot go on the sidewalk.
Yeah, sidewalk, but it could go on.
On the sidewalk,
Or
right?
on the sidewalk, or through the curb. The roof cannot do that either, break water.
Well, maybe we can change that.
That's in there. I have the whole thing
Yeah,
here.
we can fix that.
I'll look at that one.
But the standing water is a problem in the winter, it's actually a problem in the summer too, because I think that one of the complaints was also standing water attracts mosquitoes. And so, I mean, it's just, it's very difficult to make it easy. But at this point, honey, what we'll ask you is we'll try once again to talk to code enforcement, see if there's any kind of resolution. I don't know if council has any other suggestions about this issue, and then see what our code enforcement and the engineer might have some suggestions.
It says in here, swing poles, roof drains, overflow pipes. It's all in it. Roof drains in it.
Is that in our ordinance? that you
Yes,
said?
it is.
Okay.
Service.
Yeah, well, I will say we have been fixing many ordinances. We fixed one from 1936 the other day. So, okay. But as long as so at this point, you've been warned, but you're not been forced to go in front of the court, correct? Well, I will make sure that we speak to the code enforcement official and at least give you a little bit of latitude so we can investigate this.
Yeah, I would appreciate that.
Absolutely.
It said, the house was made, constructed, so it's protecting the house.
We understand. But remember, we live in a society, we have neighbors, and we have to be considerate to everybody.
And like I say, you know, it's been like that for the last 4 years, and nobody's any trouble. And like I say, I know that it's, if it wasn't going uphill, the rain, it didn't have to be 2 blocks. It didn't have to be 2 blocks either, it's sort of, if it wants for rain, my side of the street, 2 blocks away.
Thank you.
We'll definitely look at it. Thank you. And if you do get a citation, please let us know, because we can make sure.
Okay.
I'll get a hold of code enforcement.
All right, I appreciate that.
And what was, I was just reading it, citation language, which is an excerpt of the ordinance, I'll look the actual ordinance, to make sure how it's specifically worded regarding some homes, air conditioning compensation versus stormwater roof drain.
Yes,
Which is, you know, intermittent.
because everything's wet on site.
Everything-
Well, some water's not going to go in the sewer system, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely not, right?
No, you're not allowed to sewer system, because it's through a storm drain, no.
I'm just asking.
Thank you so much. We'll definitely get back to you. Appreciate you.
I would appreciate you calling.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Now, actually, Marie was being sorry.
Oh, Val, go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead, Val, come on, come with me.
Marie's standing up and down like 3 times.
Me.
I want to make sure.
Marie Panzerella, 12 South. Who, can you please put a stop sign coming out of Wawa? Remember where you almost hit me, Mr. Bobas? There needs to be a stop sign.
You know, a stop sign, it's Wawa's property.
But
It's
somebody,
one of the
why,
site-
okay, you keep on saying that for like a year, you said it's Wawa's problem. Who's gonna go to Wawa and say you have a problem? Or do you want me to do it?
Where, which exit?
The only one that doesn't have a stop sign coming on Constitution.
Well, I would think as a resident, you should probably do it then.
All right, so I'll go to Wawa.
Wait.
Do you really want me to get
That's,
that?
engineer, if the site plan did not have the stop, we don't, is there any way for us to look up the
Shame on
site?
you for not fixing that site plan before it was put there.
I was not on.
I know shame on the previous administration, should tell you.
It doesn't mean that it wasn't
It's so
required. So, which exit?
We have an exit onto
The
Constitution.
one on the pike has a stop sign. The
Wow.
one on Constitution does not, so people come flying
People
out, instead
roll.
of coming around.
I think
So,
that,
you know, coming back towards Harry Williams, that one back there?
Yeah.
facing the Harry Wicks.
Yeah, so the one all the way in the back?
Yes.
No, there is no one on
It's
the
in the
back,
middle.
it's on the side.
It's in the middle. It's on the side as you're.
If you exit,
The one you come
it's the
in-
only
go
other one
across
that's not on the
you
pike,
come right
there's
in, go
only
into the
two.
Wawa?
Yes.
That one, okay.
It needs a stop sign, Harry, man.
It-
It should have been part of site plan approval.
I would
I
think
think part of
that,
the problem is too, it's when you're coming out of Wawa, it's all raised.
So you can't
And
see.
you can't see, and they just keep coming out.
And here's what happens, people stop at the stop sign on Elm, they make the right on Constitution where the people exiting Wawa could not see them. If you, where you redid the wall at the RY, if you come up and make a right on Constitution, the people fly out of Wawa. Not saying you're flying, you know, you're at the stop sign, you make the right, but people fly out of Wawa.
right going up towards the pike?
Correct.
Okay, and then that side one there, it's sort of facing the veterans.
We'll review this, we'll review the approved site
Yeah,
plan.
it's really
Right.
not.
And maybe we can even make a recommendation to Wawa.
Right, and most likely at least a stop bar.
There's
Stop
nothing
sign.
that says stop, there's not a stop sign, there's nothing,
But
someone,
not even a white bar or anything? I'll
nothing.
do
Someone
that.
told me before,
On your way home.
it's presumed that you stop when you're coming out of the business. Well, the people coming out of Wawa don't.
I'll take a look at that, we'll hunt down the site plans.
And then the second thing is, Mr. Farrow, right after reorg, I heard him, that he was the first person ever in my history of coming to council meetings that indicated that South Oakland was a problem. I happened to live on that street, and I was like, wow, someone finally noticed. And I think you all have noticed, it's just that someone finally said, this is one of the worst streets in Runnemede. For me, it's not a problem. I make a right, I only have a little bit of road to go, and I go around to the
You
end.
suggest that we don't do it?
No, my question is, where did Washington come in with priority to this year? I understand you don't have the money to do both, but Washington Avenue, my son's friend lives on Washington Avenue. I think I passed, in the last 13 years that I've lived in this town, 2 cars have passed me on Washington, whether they avoid it, whether it's not a travel road. It is a bad road, but who made the decision?
Well, what the committee does,
Okay,
the committee reviews all areas.
okay, I understand that.
And grades and looks at roads.
They all agreed on those
We
2
have-
roads that Mr. Farrow recommended.
And it is
My
a
question
decision.
is, who made the decision that Washington Ave gets done this year?
The committee and the
Shame on the
council.
committee. I want to know if the committee went and sat on Washington Ave, and if the committee went and sat on South Oakland, and they determined that it'll be, go ahead.
But,
We couldn't,
yeah, oh, yeah, I
Yeah,
apologize. Were you gonna say that, please?
It's part of the grant. I
It's part of the
understand
grant,
that.
and
Isn't there another road in Runnemede that
No.
you can wait and apply for the grant for, and because that be priority? I've heard all the grant discussion.
You're more familiar with
It was originally going to be Irish Hill. They denied it because
Oh, it's
not
not.
enough residents on it,
Correct.
so.
There's enough residents on my road.
But,
Yeah.
and I will say, the grants, as I said earlier, are very competitive. There's criteria, mainly the criteria is amount of travel, vehicle trips, and also what it connects to.
Right.
So it connects to the busier roads and everything else like that. But I would say the perfect avenue of how to bring that to attention to the governing body and also to their engineer is doing exactly what you're saying.
All right, but
Is-
here's my thing, I'm gonna tell you right now, be prepared, I warn, not I threaten, I warn you, that next month I will have a petition signed by every single one of the people that are on my block. My block is, you're looking at me funny, my
For
block, because why, I wanna know why council.
I asked you to do that.
You
a
did,
year ago.
and now I'm heeding your advice, you
You're
did
against
ask me a year ago,
Washington?
and I thought,
I don't think you need to do the petition. Just
All right,
tell me the block number.
okay, ready? When you leave here, go to Wawa, get yourself a coffee, come out of the exit on
I
Constitution.
can't, I give, I don't have any more comments.
Don't stop when you come in.
Okay.
Actually, go down the wrong way, no, it's, I live right behind the sports bar, so I'm on the, between Clemens
What's your
Bridge
street
and
address?
Oakland. I mean, and, Evesham,
What is your street? name?
South Oakland.
If you go by.
You'll drive by the,
If you go on Clemens Bridge.
Hold on.
Heading towards Deptford, it's the first street on the left.
It is. It is.
But what's your street address?
Well,
Well, so.
Yeah, listen,
And it's that block you're saying
oh, it's
is,
horrible.
and your main
It's the
concern.
entire
It's the entire length of the street.
It's in very, very bad disrepair.
You do realize that now that Washington Avenue is part of block grant money.
Okay,
that's
so
what's
what is,
right.
last year,
So,
sir,
is this in between, do you live in between, on South Oakland, in between Evesham and Clemens Ridge?
Yes.
Do you realize that tonight there's a resolution to ask for money to do this?
next year.
No.
No, this
Oh, so
year.
now you're changing it to this year. Well, thank you.
This year.
All right, well, I'm just saying,
Part of the
let's,
resolution.
maybe tonight it's been a discussion, but it was good being put off till next year,
Well,
correct?
this was discussion.
You were using something.
The Reed Avenue Phase 3 did not score high enough. We had our consultations with DOT. We had to come up with another candidate.
Okay.
That we
Amen, that's
thought,
fine.
especially-
If you don't get it, you
Especially,
either,
Councilman Carroll put South Oakland on there, we looked at the
Listen.
scoring, we put together the application, the whole application is from Evesham to Clemens Bridge. We absolutely are positive, even if we were successful in getting discretionary aid, we won't get enough money for everything.
Well, I have a question. Isn't it community development money
Yeah.
that they tell us? Don't they tell
But
us?
they give us
There's two, we're mixing and matching two different things here.
But I'm
So-
saying, like, we had a petition said Irish Hill, and they said no, but Washington met the criteria, correct, or
Okay.
no?
There's two different grant applications. So one is the community development block grant application.
which is Washington Ave.
Right, which
I know
was
South
originally,
Oakland
which
didn't
was
qualify
originally
for
for
that.
Irish
It's
Hill.
not in the area.
All right,
Understood.
which is, you know.
So
up
I
here,
should come up with a little bit of
thirty,
cash and take care of it, somebody's gonna get,
This
it's
was
bigger.
11, this was-
Do you come down the street anymore?
About 37,000.
Oh, no, it's okay, it's bad.
Hold on a second, let me just clarify.
All right,
Community development block grant application, which is
Watch.
approximately $35,000 a year, allotted as your sharing, Runnemede based on your populations and demographics. That can be used in qualified census tracts, meaning certain areas that meet the demographics, where this money is for people of certain demographic needs, meaning people that need affordable improvements or ADA improvements for seniors.
Okay.
Irish Hill is in that sort of qualified census tract. However, based on county block grant program, there was not enough residents that it was going to benefit. So that was not an appropriate application. They denied that. That's their opinion. So then we had to move to another qualified census tract, which I believe we moved it over to Washington, which fit the criteria of demographics. I do not believe South Oakland is in a qualified census tract based on the median income, et cetera, what they use. for the
It's been, there's a lot of variables. I mean,
and
you're
I'm
right.
sure there
And-
And the
are.
variables are the cost
Hold
of
on, let me
fixing it.
finish.
And then the second
But you're questioning why a committee
I'm just-
made a decision, and we don't, you know, to sit there, we could
No,
go
no,
through,
no,
there are
he answered
dozens
the
of
question.
roads,
Listen,
roads
he
in Runnemede
answered
that
that
need to be
portion of
done.
the question. So I would say, okay, now there's a possible resolution that would allow another application for that to be done this year. If not,
Submitted within a week.
all right, and what's the turnaround time on that?
Actually, there is no guarantee you'll ever hear back from
Oh, that's
the DOT.
good.
This is,
Yeah, I hear you.
this is every municipality in the state of New Jersey.
Understood.
Anybody that does a discretionary aid application You have the possibility of DOT funding a cycle or not funding a
I'm
cycle.
a former government employee, I
So,
get all the
We
BS.
will make.
But at what point, okay, so let's say that gets turned down, South Oakland stays until next year on the list?
And yeah, absolutely, we'd stay on the list. And once again, we would review, we determine how much money we have.
Okay.
You know, we take in consideration how much we can borrow every year versus raising taxes on the residents. And we have to weigh that out.
We know, and we've stated this, and we've been, serving the borough for quite a number of years. The borough has made a concerted effort to address deteriorated roadways, more so, I'm going to say, in the last, 5 years than it has in the last 20 years prior to that.
Yes.
There are roadways that are far worse than South Oakland.
I do not deny that they have it.
Okay,
Listen,
and these roadways
they have
are worse than South Oakland. However,
it. In Runnemede?
absolutely.
Where? Just tell me which one. You can't. You
I
can't, listen.
Yes, you can now.
I'm
Mark
down
Bates
to
are
it
on
for 7.
Mark Bates are on my office, Ken. I cannot, because I don't have the inventory. I'm not sitting here with my whole roadway
No,
line.
no, you don't have to.
I also
Listen,
can't do complex
I
math.
give you another road that's really thin.
Which one?
Johnson.
Johnson.
Hill,
Hill's very thin.
that arm of it.
But they're so untraveled. Listen, you don't understand. From
Absolutely, that is one of
to-
our criteria.
There's
It is.
only, my road is one of the 2 that connects Evesham to Palms Bridge. And unfortunately, because I'm parallel to the pike, I'm the first street after the pike, my road guaranteed, I'm sorry, not my road, I don't know, the street I live on is by far the most traveled upper road in Runnemede, guaranteed.
But you have to understand, I'm
Oh,
not
I
saying,
understand.
you are on cut through road between Cummings and Evesham, as is Highland, as is Rowan, and all, hear me out, I have had residents from both of them
I'm sure.
come to me complaining, one speed bumps, one signs, because they're a huge cut through. So they also are a huge cut through, so I mean, there's several.
We don't need speed bumps, we have man-made ones on my road.
So anyway, the best way I can say this
Mhm.
is
We'll get to
the
you.
borough relies on the residents to
Okay.
bring the attention, and we put it in with the other roadways, which are many, and we put it in on a priority basis.
I already brought it to the attention several times, but I commend Mr. Farrar because his very first meeting, he said, I drove all the streets of Runnemede, and there's 2 that are exceptionally bad. And he said, South Oakland, and I, from the back, I went, yes, because it's about time. But, so it has been brought to the attention, but I just wondered what the process was in determining, okay, so, South Oakland doesn't meet that criteria, but when is South Oakland going to meet criteria? Never.
But-
So when is the borough, what's the long-term, what are we possibly going to meet that we haven't? We didn't meet either, and we
Well,
figure never
Wait,
possible.
wait. I just want to point out,
You know,
the
I understand.
the borough is funding roadway improvements as they can afford to do so in an appropriate and responsible way to the residents.
Okay.
This is one of the identified roadways that would need attention. Engineering
Well, that's
committee,
it. I'm
engineering
okay with
committee
that.
has established that.
Gotcha.
First chance of funding opportunity that would be available in the shortest period of time would be the DOT discretionary aid. If that is unsuccessful, then the borough has the ability to look in the future budget years of, if they're doing any capital roadway improvements, to address it at that time, just like they have in the past.
Gotcha.
I appreciate your concern, we've heard that.
And I would say that's reasonable.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen tomorrow.
I don't anticipate it, but
Anything else?
no, not at all. I was gonna ask if the borough has like a credit rating, but I'll hold that for another.
We will be going out we're selling bonds this year.
I'm just saying, because I had a bill that I personally handed to a borough employee, that I got calls, and I still have messages on my voicemail, I told you, I sent them up. There might still be some current ones, I haven't checked voicemail in the last
Same answer.
All right, well, I'm just wondering, like, at what point, when something is personally handed to someone, why it's not getting paid?
We have many.
It was an approved bill. Any reasons?
There could be many.
Oh, I can't wait for that. That's,
Anyone else wishing to speak?
you should have come up with me.
They sure smile.
General Palisano, 831 North Oakland. Mike, I want to thank you. The notice for the summer rec program, it's on the refrigerator. It was precise. We're ready June 8th to come up with our check and
But you know what, now we lost the pool, so, I gotta come up with some ideas to keep the kids cool. Yeah, you got a pool. Very close to your lot, give them one.
I'll tell you, if it rains hard enough.
Yeah, I'm thinking about renting, I've been inquiring, some, blow up, water slides that we can
Yes.
throw in maybe once a week, because, I am saving some money on a lifeguard, not a lot of money, but on a lifeguard, so, maybe I could try to get something else, and plus we got fans going this year now, that took care of, so hopefully it's a little cooler, but, Steve Brooks, he's the head counselor, he's been working on some things too to try, so hopefully we can keep the kids entertained for the most part. And I even gonna go with extra counselors, so we can try to minimize that, not happening.
You're doing the music too?
We actually lost our music director. The school is doing a music program, so the two music teachers from Wolves are staying there for the summer. So I'm in the process of trying to find somebody else to do a music program for them.
Okay.
But I would definitely like to keep that.
Speaking about fans, though, is anyone on council taking care of the lack of air conditioning in the library?
It's been fixed. It was addressed today. There was an issue again that went off again today, or it went off yesterday. She texted me yesterday. I did speak to Jean today. There was a technician out there again today. The last text I believe I got from Kathy was that it was working at that time. So there's an electrical issue. This is not so much an issue with the heater itself or the air conditioning. It's an electrical problem. I don't know exactly where it sits at this moment. I'll be honest with you, I was at work and she texted me and said, it's working now, the guy's here, and that's where I don't know what happened from there. But I know it's being addressed. Do you know anything? I mean,
I was not aware it went down again. I do
Went
know
down
they
again.
replaced the-
Unfortunately, Gene is out of
they
town. He is.
replaced the unauthorized thermostat.
that was replaced, and then it was working, everything was fine, it went out again. It went out yesterday. She contacted me because I've tried to funnel in the path of who you need to contact instead of everyone just kind of, so she did contact me. Gene was made aware of it. He had someone go out, and there was somebody out there again today. So they were fixing it, to the best of my knowledge, they repaired it as of today. I wish I could, honestly, I just don't know 100%, but as the last I spoke to Kathy, it was working.
Okay, because the rec program, I think, also uses the library.
They do to some extent. She was having 250 people there tonight for an event. I think it's like the art show maybe tonight.
Yes,
I think it's
yes.
tonight. And so it was working.
Oh, good. Keep our fingers crossed.
I was thinking it was, so that was the last I heard. So yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Seeing no one else, your motion to close the public portion? All in favor? Aye. There's a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion for adjournment.
I second.
All in favor? Opposed? We are adjourned.